All right, everybody, just a quick update to Van 2.0 build. And as you guys can see right here, I got the cabinet made. So let me show you just as a refresher as to where this will go. Okay, so this cabinet is going to go in this area right there. And I know it looks very small in the image, but it will actually fit floor to ceiling. Of course, the shelf part with the sink, which I'll show you in a minute, will be right here. Now, that back window will be covered up with a panel like this. I just took it down for now. But if you guys look right here, we've got this wooden base. I've got to affix this to this. I got to screw this down. But if you kind of look at the profile there, you see that this sticks out a little bit. And then when you imagine this cover, it's going to come down at an angle. So that's going to stick out in there. Down there was an old radio. I removed that. And then there's some fuses and everything. When that box goes over that, though, it will allow me to access that when I open the door. So the isolator for the where the battery is charging the bank down here is underneath there. So the nice thing is even with that cabinet in place, I'll be able to reach back in there and change fuses or do some electrical work or whatever I need to do. But anyway, so this is where that cabinet is going to sit. Now, if you guys remember, I wanted to keep this to where I had a total of 48 inches width. That way, if this bed was down, I could slide a sheet of plywood or whatever in there, and that cabinet is going to fulfill that. So let's take a look at the cabinet. And it's on the side here, you guys can see the profile. Slight angle up, a little notch in, slight angle, and then this would go that upper portion there. You can see where that kind of juts out up there. Cabinet, when I go to slide it in place, will be floor to ceiling, and this is templated exactly to that. So this will fit nice and flush against the wall. So let's talk about the cabinet features itself. So as you guys see from a styling perspective, this is a lot different than what I normally do. The vast majority of what you guys see I do is kind of that rustic style with the cedar. But I thought with, the interior of this camper as it was fitted out by the conversion van company, I don't know if a contemporary look is the right word, but it's certainly not a rustic look. So I wanted to do something that I thought would match a little bit more. And I really like this idea of having the two-tone with the dark and then this light-colored wood. If some of you guys can guess what this light-colored wood is, I'll tell you now, but if you guessed, good for you. It is poplar. Poplar. If you're not familiar, poplar is considered a hardwood, though it's on the softer side among hardwoods. But I really like poplar. I know it's not super popular with furniture, or if people do use it, they'll use it for kind of like hidden structural components. But I think it's actually a really beautiful wood. Comes in all these beautiful, like almost like a white color to, kind of like some nice greens. And then none of my pieces have it, but every once in a while you'll get like a dark brown in there. And I found that if I haven't done it yet, but I'll do some finishing sanding and then I'll finish this in a water-based poly. And I found the water-based poly works really well because it will darken it just slightly, but for the most part you preserve that. And I've got some furniture I made years and years ago with poplar, and as the sun or as it's exposed to sun in your house and all that kind of stuff, it'll give it a nice warm tone. But anyways, I chose poplar. I really like poplar. It's also among the hardwoods, it's relatively affordable. Where I'm at, I can get it about $3 a board foot, maybe like $3.30, something like that. But anyways, so this is made out of poplar, which is the light wood. And then the dark wood is some sheet goods. So the way I made this, well, let me cover its features here. So here, this little table portion extends over. So if you imagine, this sink side will be immediately adjacent to that bed. So if you were sitting there and you wanted to have a writing surface or to put your laptop or something, this goes right over. And then, of course, it folds up to be concealed away. Right here, we've got a sink. This is actually a sink I salvaged from the white van build. I still have to install the tubing hardware and everything. I'll probably either put a little tank down there to hold wastewater, which could fit in that little cavity there, or I might just drill a hole and have it drain to the bottom of the van. I haven't made up my mind yet. I'm kind of more inclined just to let it drain outside. And then, of course, I've used this on almost all of my campers. It's just one of these little USB pumps there. And down below here, you have storage. That's a total of 12 gallons of water between the two of them. So I'll just run a tube from those water tanks up into this pump. It'll go into the sink, and then the sink will drain out, like I said, either into a container or out onto the ground. But and then on this side, we've got a cabinet door. But this is a full inset door using some of these concealed hinges. So full inset means that it will sit between, like right here, it sits flush with this. I put a couple of these things just to keep the door shut. And we've got 3 compartments down there. That bottom one, of course, we'd use for anything I want, but it is configured to where a chemical toilet is ideally suited to fit down in there. And of course, you got 2 shelf heights here for general storage. There is no back on this because remember, this will sit flush to the back of the van. So, but this is, this is it's not a huge piece of cabinetry, but it was something that took quite a bit of thought to get. Because it's got a lot of things going on, and of course it's fit perfectly to fit the van there. But I was pretty proud of it. I liked it. I think it's an addition that will go in the van. It won't take up a ton of space. I think it's gonna look really nice. But it's gonna offer a lot of usefulness. It's a pretty notable amount of storage, water storage, a sink, a writing surface, kind of a bunch of things. So how I made this was pretty simple. There was 3 pieces of 1/2-inch ply, so the end, both of these. Once I cut the template for how it would fit in there, once I cut the shape for this, I just used it as a template to cut the other 2. And then I figured out my widths and everything, and I cut these. I think these are about 2 inches wide. I cut a bunch of these pieces of poplar like this, and tied the 3 vertical pieces together, and then I stained them that dark color, and then I went through and put a face frame here. Now you'll see this little gap right here. This will be immediately adjacent to the ceiling there of the van, so I wanted to leave a little bit of a gap so I didn't abrade the liner when I opened the door there. But just put a face frame around it, put a little top in here. I was essentially able just to cut a square, and the sink just slid right down in there. Cut a hole for the water. That piece right there is just a decorative piece. It gives a little bit of extra strength, but also closes off that open spot. 2 water tanks happen to slide in there like that. Then I made this flat panel door. Just real simple construction. Poplar, and then this centerpiece is just a 1/4-inch piece of plywood. Which I stained to match the other sides, and then added the shelves. So, I mean, that's a quick overview, but it's overall pretty simple construction, but it's super strong. I think it looks pretty nice. That door will be secure. I'm gonna use one of those little seatbelt straps to strap in those waters so that they don't go flying when you're driving. But yeah, I think it's just a simple cabinet. When it's mounted, it'll have it's not going to be permanent. It's going to be something that you could remove if you wanted to. It's not going to cause a bunch of damage to the van, and I think it's going to add a lot of utility. All right, guys, just a little update. Hope you guys are all doing well. Thanks for following along, and let me know what you think.